Of August 10th to order. First, please, I'm ask everyone to please silence your cell phones and thank Deputy Carter for being here with us this evening. We do have a quorum, and I'm going to ask Dr. Meyer to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please. Thank you, Dr. Meyer. May I have a motion to approve the agenda? A motion by Mrs. Blaylock, and a second? Second by Mr. Blaine. All those in favor of the agenda as stated, say aye. 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 All those opposed? 7-0. Moving on, we have no public hearing. And then on to item 3.01, Leadership Learning Exchange. Ms. Flenard.
Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the board, Dr. Baker and Dr. Martin. The instructional highlight for tonight's meeting will focus on the 2015 Leadership Learning Exchange that took place on June 24th and 25th at Riverbend High School. This year's professional learning event was our largest event to date, with more sessions, outside guests from colleges and universities, Spotsylvania leadership to step up to share their passion, their best practices, and insight with colleagues about teaching, learning, and leading. Joining us at the podium to share some history, some highlights, and testimonials from the event is the coordinator of LLE, Dr. Jan Streich, Director of Growth and Innovation.
Good evening, Madam Chair, Dr. Baker, and members of the school board. I've been asked to share with you all the different highlights and activities that we participated in back in June, which seemed like yesterday. The photo that you're seeing up on the screen, or up on your screen, is identical to the program that I hope you have in front of you. And not to have you go through that program right now, but the idea that you see a lot of fire and a lot of flames had to do with igniting and reigniting. So LLE has been around. This is now, we're in our 5th year of a learning exchange. It started as a teacher leadership event, and it expanded to include leadership from all levels. And we also strategically think about the theme, the brand, and the idea that we had a flame had a lot to do with we had such a busy year of learning. A new student information system, benchmark literacy. Teachers were hard at work in PLCs and learning to work together in teams. So the idea that we were reigniting that passion at the end of the school year when people are fatigued got a lot of interest, and we tied it to most of the theme and the props that you're going to see in the slides. This year's event took place at Riverbend High School, so we've done a full cycle of learning exchanges, because we usually have each high school host, and we do it opposite of the school that has summer school. So we have yet to have our leadership exchange at Chancellor High School, but hopefully we will in the future. You can see there are quite a few folks. The program that you have in front of you, they all pick up their programs, and this year we had breakfast and collaboration that kind of kicked off our learning, and also the fact that 310 people participated in LLE. This is more than I reported to you last year at this time. So we had about 100 administrators and about 210 teacher leaders. So taking a day from vacation to attend this event, and some of them stayed for 2 days and also presented. People ask me all the time, well, if we're doing professional learning communities and it's all supposed to be embedded in the day, our professional learning is embedded in our day, why are we still holding events? Well, when you really think about this, the tenets of PLCs and the Plan, Do, Study, Act, there is a time and a period when a teacher and a school leader needs more than the learning within their particular teams. So we have had discussions over the last 3 years about ourselves, defining ourselves as a learning organization. And the idea that's articulated in our strategic plan is really brought forward in our leadership learning exchanges because it's an opportunity for us to collaborate as leaders, and that's leaders at all different levels. This is another shot of Riverbend, and again, I'm going to come back to that whole idea that it's a grassroots effort. We make posters, we make centerpieces. The flame lent itself to quite a few things. On the back of your program are several quotes that explains in detail why the torch and the flame were chosen specifically as our brand and as our logo for this year's exchange. It is also becoming one of the most popular themes because you're going to see that in the convocation and in new teacher learning. Some of our schools have asked to use those props, so we recycled them throughout the year, and it's starting to stick in terms of taking themes and branding it and having a lot of fun. This year, we did not have a keynote outside consultant open our particular exchange. We had Dr. Scott Baker share his vision, and I've also included testimonials from various members of leadership about what they like most about the leadership exchange. So in this case, Jeremy Siefker talked about how he sees it as an opportunity to really see how best practices are aligned with our strategic plan. And of course, as a school leader, he is looking at alignment with the school improvement plan, which a lot of our leadership teams, of course, work on during the summer. This is a photograph. I like this photograph because it represents school leadership members from across different secondary schools. And the principal at Post Oak commented that she gets the most out of the collaborative and networking opportunities. So when you think about a busy school year and you think about professional learning for school leaders, there's not a lot of opportunities to really cross-collaborate in settings where you can talk about breakout sessions, you can talk about new ideas, and you can talk about firming up some of your learning that you learned throughout the year in our principals meetings and our assistant principal and our instructional coordinator academies that we offer. Carol Flanard led Day 2's kickoff with a presentation to everybody, and she customized it for the audience, but it was on the book that principals, APs, ICs read. And these photographs that I'm sharing with you represent the number of administrators and school leadership teams that offered presentations. So this year we had over 90 concurrent sessions, and their descriptions are in your program if you choose to review them. And with these particular presentations are a great deal of follow-up about what are you doing in that practice, how can I send a group of teachers over to your school to learn about that particular practice. So it starts that whole year-long effort of a community or building those structures of sharing and learning. I decided to place our outside guests, and we had more than we have had in the past, because they've learned about the Leadership Learning Exchange, and some of them asked to come to the Learning Exchange and actually speak to our audience. So it's beginning to develop a reputation for other folks from other places to join us. Again, their descriptions are in your program. Here's a few of them in these photos. The deans from Germanna Community College offered a panel discussion about career and college readiness, again, stressing that link to the strategic plan. This is the one photo that we have of Christine Lentz-Johnson sitting, because Christine Lentz-Johnson presented and submitted so many proposals at LLE, she couldn't actually attend any sessions. So I've asked Christine to just come up and give you her thoughts and reflections about why she values this particular venue for the work that she does in the division.
Jan exaggerates. However, I do value LLE as an opportunity for me to share my passions with a wide variety of educators in our division. So I both supported and provided professional learning on excuse me, both new and extended learning opportunities that I provided during the school year to educators on topics such as English language learners, the best practices, school-based ESOL programs, instructional coaching, and literacy. And I did get a little learning in there myself as well. So it's a really good opportunity for us to both share and learn.
Thanks, Christine. The other piece that Mrs. Jen Baleko, Christine, and I presented on was the draft of the Teaching and Learning Framework, which that particular, those sessions were offered as not a presentation for learning, but to actually get critical feedback. And that has launched a year-long peer review on the draft for the Teaching and Learning Framework. So our sessions are not just stand and deliver, they're also exchanges back and forth and discourse around new ideas or new concepts that we're developing at the program level in the division. This was a new feature that we added to the Leadership Exchange. It's called the Sandbox, and this is where you get to come and play. And it's a play on words, but Dr. George Meadows, who leads some of the region and the state's big initiatives with STEM, was on site in an area, did not have a classroom, just a general area in the middle of the hall. I didn't get to participate in his sandbox, but you can see by the photos that a lot of our adults were really engaged. This is the one area that, with wearing my instructional technology hat, I've received a great deal of follow-up about, can we build a makerspace? So the idea of places to go, like our unconference, which was another new feature, and I know there were board members that attended the unconference, that is actually audience-led, and the presenters just simply answer questions or develop ideas around that. So we had a new feature in LLE that allowed the actual audience to bring ideas to those particular sessions and just generate conversation. These are features of teacher leaders. Teacher leaders, we have an initiative. We're now going into our 4th year with our Teacher Leadership Academies. We keep very busy to late hours at night with the enthusiasm and momentum that we have in the division with our teacher leaders. And teacher leaders are not lead teachers. They're actually teachers in classrooms that have ideas or have problems, and this is this place where they can come to our academy so we can group think, work with them on group problem solving and action research ideas. Those same teacher leaders will come to the LLE and actually share their journey in solving a problem, developing a best practice, and that's what attracts other teachers to come to LLE. And Eric Powell actually shared with me and shared in his evaluation that that's what he likes best about LLE, is learning and seeing the showcases from teacher leaders. This photograph represents leaders wearing different hats who have different perspectives, leaders from the classroom, liaisons, and formal leaders. And I chose this photograph for tonight's instructional highlight because this is one of those opportunities where all these folks can learn alongside one another. At the same time, there's opportunities to learn with job-like peers. The one shot of Courthouse Road Elementary School, a lot of our school leadership use this opportunity with their teams, school leadership teams, to begin to develop some of those pieces and add pieces or further develop aspects of their school improvement plan. One final feature that I want to share with you this evening was something that we added. It's new and different. It was a little risky, and it was absolutely fabulous. We actually had student leaders invited to be presenters come to LLE, and they offered sessions. They actually did the sessions that reflected like a TED Talk format, about 10 to 15 minutes apiece. Their topic had to be leadership, and leadership about what they believe we need to do in order to improve teaching and learning for the 21st century. It was exciting to get their perspectives. They were all recorded. We also had a great deal of coaching for the students, but they were on the same stage delivering their presentation in front of an audience just like our superintendent and our assistant superintendent. So I wanted to highlight those folks. I also want to mention that some of these folks were alums. They had graduated and come back, took off from their summer breaks, and then we had several who were transitioning from middle to high school. And this is just another screenshot of additional presenters from our student leadership group. Final shot for this evening's instructional highlight is just a great photo of Robin and her school team, groups of educators, and whether they're smiling because they were having fun at that moment when that candid was captured, or whether they're actually happy at LLE, I don't know. But you can see the general climate and environment of this particular event is celebratory, but also a great deal of embedded learning. We don't have a date for our next LLE, but I would suggest, as members of the school board, as you go around to schools, look for evidence of LLE learning, and you have the program in front of you. And hopefully we'll see follow-up, which is critical to these type of events and the investment we make in them. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Does anybody have any comments or questions? Mr. Braswell?
Dr. Strike, I want to commend you for putting the and being the lead in this endeavor with the leadership process here. And I just had one specific question. The students that were listed to give presentations, I really thought it was exciting to have our young people participate. My question is going to be a tough one, but I noticed that they were all from either Riverbend or Chancellor. Did we reach out to any other schools to see if their students would be interested in participating because they would be able to benefit, in my opinion, from great opportunities such as this?
Yes, we did. And it was not something where we wanted our students to feel any kind of pressure. So it was offered, and it was offered in every building, and those happened to be the students that stepped up. I think this is the first year we've done it, so it was piloted in a sense. But what begins to happen is when one student from a particular school steps up, their other students will also step up. That's basically what we did. We didn't require it or request that every school had representation. What we're hoping, because of the success of this part of the leadership exchange, that we get more representation next year.
Yeah, thank you. I'd like for us to continue to encourage our young people to participate in it. Leadership is a great achievement and force multiplier, and to be able to engage young people early in the leadership process, they'll have a great opportunity not only to learn a lot for themselves, but make a difference for all of those that are around them. So thank you.
I agree. Thank you.
Mr. Laura?
I don't like, good evening, thank you for your presentation, and thank you for all the work you put into this. I don't like to ask staff questions in public, but this is not one of those questions. This is not a got you question. But years ago, when I know it's, years ago I had the experience of teaching in Prince William County, and in Prince William, back in those days, I don't know if they still do it now, we could teachers could exchange. You find a match at another school, and you could actually work up a deal where I teach your class for a day or two, and you come teach mine, and, you know, it's an exchange. And I was looking at your presentation, I said, maybe we ought to, I don't know if we're doing anything like that, but maybe we ought to, if we're not doing it, we ought to consider that. But even at the level of assistant principals, you know, there are some common threats, I would submit, between being an AP at Spotsy and Cortland, Ponax, and what have you, and just have an exchange of ideas, you know. And so I don't expect you to answer or react unless you want to, but I'd just like to share that thought, that maybe there might be something. For example, if you teach Spanish at Cortland High School, you can certainly go down to Ponax and teach Spanish, or go down to Spotsylvania. Same with science teacher, any subject, actually, as long as the teachers are, you know, in the same subject area. Just a thought that came to my mind as I was looking at your presentation, because the fact of the matter is that we have grown as a division, and now you have, just like the sheriff's office, years ago every deputy sheriff knew each other. But now the sheriff's office has grown so much that the guys in the night shift don't know the guys in the day shift. And you say, who are you? You know, we are becoming a nation of strangers. It's a long way to ask you to comment, if you will, on the subject.
Sure.
The
peer observation and peer learning, we have focused very much in the last 3 to 5 years, Mr. Laura, on professional learning communities and getting to know our own cultures and our own schools. But through these exchanges and learning experiences, there has been a realization that we have a great deal of talent right here in Spotsylvania County Public Schools. So the idea that we reach out, for example, in the area of applied math and science, we do if we believe as a community of learners that we may need the expertise of a group of teachers. For example, another school division might be further along in applied math and problem-based learning or project-based learning, and we do have those opportunities already. Have we ever done a teacher exchange where a teacher teaches in the classroom and you switch classrooms for the day? Not under my current coordination and leadership, but that wouldn't be unheard of if we felt comfortable we have a need. But because the PLC is so driven to specifics, we leave it up to those teams and those school leadership teams for conversations to identify where that learning might be. And then it's my job as the coordinator to find out where those pieces of expertise are that we need in other divisions. So it's a thought well taken, but we're on track for that if we wanted to do it.
Mr. Blaine.
A couple of comments. First of all, I enjoyed participating as an observer and a participant in the discussions. I wish I could name all of the different groups that I participated in, and my problem was, unfortunately, there were a number of things that were both at the same time, and I couldn't get both places. I still haven't solved that problem. But
It's everybody's problem.
Yeah, it was a terrific program. One program that I did especially enjoy was the bird's eye view of the elementary school classroom for secondary teachers that Mike Brown from Spotswood put on. And it's dangerous for me to mention that one teacher I know or one presenter, but I think that is a really basic experience. I had a lot of experience in the lower levels, and my concern was I often had to talk with high school teachers about groups and so on, and I said, you ought to go and teach first grade for a year, and it's an eye-opening experience. So it was a terrific program, and I hope you'll do more. I have one debate, I think, and I'm not sure which way to go. You mentioned that at lunchtime often the faculty from one group, one school would get together and share experiences, which is very positive. My perspective is that isn't it maybe even better, or at least as good, to get teachers from several different schools at the same table, because they would have a different kind of exchange. And I encourage you to, and other teachers to, educators to think about that. You did a terrific job of organizing, you and your staff. Thank you.
Thank you.
And then I think I have the final comment. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
It was wonderful. I
Thank you.
got a lot of teacher learning done as well. But I wanted to mention when you said the collaboration, I was sitting at lunch with the staff that were in attendance from Wilderness Elementary, and the energy that from the seminars that they had gone to, and then just the energy that they were sharing of what they thought they could take back to the school, and they were already planning, and there were teachers already, can we go back to school right after this? That's how engaged they were. And I had mentioned to Dr. Baker, I'd like to see this go like a little further out from Spotsy, if we could bring in other divisions, because I think we've got something good here, and I just want to brag on it, because it was wonderful.
Well, we had one of our presenters, Dr. Anthony Muhammad, comment, and Dr. Muhammad has been around the country, but he commented that this particular learning experience for him is one of the best managed and well-run. That is not Dr. Strike. That is a team. That's a team shared effort, and everybody plays a role, including every single teacher leader and every principal. But he also commented the same thing, and I am limited simply by where to put it once we start expanding it, and lunches. We actually had to have 2 lunches and alternate our lunch time. So I feel like I always hear school-level leaders talk about their schedules and what they have to do at the beginning of the year. I don't have that except one time of the year, and that's LLE, where I have a brilliant team working to make sure that we can get these sessions in. So thank you.
Thank you. Okay, moving on to 4.01, Leadership Learning Exchange Recognition. Ms. Flenard.
Thank you again. And as you could tell, this is not an easy undertaking at all. So we would like to take a moment to thank and recognize some of the key leaders that are behind the Leadership Learning Exchange. Tonight we're pleased to recognize individuals who made this year's program a huge success. And I would also, before we bring the folks up here, I just would like to acknowledge that it does take a large group, from presenters to cleanup crew to the school itself, Riverbend, as well as Brian Lutterby, who I don't believe came in. I just wanted to thank you all very much, and thank you personally for all of your efforts. But some of our key folks this evening that are here, we have obviously Dr. Jan Strike, Overall Event Coordinator, Master of Ceremonies. If you could come forward, please. Emily Horn, Session Planning, Assignments, and Outside Presenter Support. Angel Bonham, Theme, Logo Design, Program Editing. Nicole Meredith, LLE Website Design. Heather Vickers, On-Site Planning, Digital Resource Planning as well. Erin Wilson, Food and Meal Planning Lead, kept us all very well fed. Bill Parker, Lead AV Support. And we have Adam Nash, Online Registration. And Brian Letterby is not with us this evening.
Okay, group shot. Ready? No, you're good. Jan's in the front with you. Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3. One more just to make sure. 1, 2, 3. Awesome.
Thank you and congratulations on a job well done.
Continuing on with recognitions and awards, Mr. Wolf, if you could honor us with presenting the Freelance Star Girls Athlete of the Year.
Thank you, Mr. Braswell. We are pleased to share Massaponax High School rising senior Alexis Willis has been selected as the Freelance Star Girls Athlete of the Year. She has an impressive record in both track and basketball. She holds the fastest recorded time in the Fredericksburg area in the 200 meters at 24.94 seconds, and she ran the second fastest 400 meters. In basketball, she was a first-team All-Conference 15 basketball selection after she helped lead Massaponax to a 15-9 record and its second straight trip to the 5A North Region playoffs. Congratulations on this accomplishment. We hope that you have another fantastic year. So, Alexis, if you could please come forward.
Ready? One, two, one more, just to make sure. One, two, three.
Okay, we're going to, congratulations again. Absolutely amazing. Wonderful. And thank you for all the LLE people. It was a great event. Moving on to item 5.01, public comments. Dr. Martin, could you read the directions, please?
Good evening. The public comment segment of our board meetings is a time to receive recommendations, suggestions, concerns, and comments from the general public. Each speaker is allotted 5 minutes, and we ask that they clearly state the name, address, and/or voting district for the board. A speaker may request additional time from the board should one's 5-minute allotment expire. We ask that you keep your comments focused on the issues and that all speakers maintain a level of decorum and mutual respect for one another. First speaker signed up is Angelica Metcham.
I am in the Battlefield District, and I'm here to request your vote to allow part-time students, homeschooled private school students, to attend the public school part-time. I just wanted to give you quick statistics. Currently in the United States, there are almost 2 million homeschoolers. That's about 3.4% of the population. In 2012-2013, in Virginia alone, there was over 27,000 students homeschooled or private educated. In Spotsylvania County alone, there was almost 800. Looking back about 10 years, in Virginia there was 14,000, and in Spotsylvania 200. So you can see there's a huge increase of over 10,000 statewide, and in the county about 600. It's a trend. It's not going to go away. And I'm a huge advocate of diversity. In my household, I'm multicultural marriage. My husband comes from pioneer stock, moving out west. My family is from Puerto Rico. And my children benefit greatly from the diversity that we brought into our home. And I know that when a county, when a state, when a nation embraces diversity, especially in their education, that everyone benefits. And so I encourage you, I pray that you will vote yay. Thank you.
Madam Chair, that's all of the speakers that signed up.
Is there anyone else in the audience that cares to speak this evening? Seeing none, I'm going to move on to item 5.02, board member comments. This evening, I'll start with Ms. Gramp.
Just want to congratulate all who worked on the LLE exchange and said that I hope it improves to include Ms. Shelley's idea to where we open it up to other areas, considering we do that with our legislative session, and that's been a success. So I think if we can extend that to this exchange. I think it would give us a great opportunity to brag about how wonderful we are. And I also want to congratulate Alexis Willis again. Thanks.
Mr. Blaine.
The one comment I would like to make really goes back to the LLE, frankly. I'd like to compliment and thank the teachers on your summer vacation, just after your vacation started, that took time to continue your professional learning. I think that tells a whole lot about our staff and their attitude and their devotion to young boys and girls and the responsibility we all have as educators. So thanks to all you here and at home.
Mr. Braswell.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have several comments. First, I want to provide some feedback as to the VSBA Conference on Education that several of us attended on the 21st of July. It was very well prepared. It was very educational, very inspiring. I had an opportunity to sit and engage a Henrico School presenter about the innovative ways that they use summer school to not only increase student achievement, but school achievement. Basically looked at two tracks, the traditional form of summer school in which students use summer school for remediation of classes that they may have been short in obtaining during the regular school year. But they also earmarked schools that were not performing to the standard and had that staff who had a vested interest in those students have summer school for them, where they focus primarily on SOL testing and getting those students up to meeting the marks that were prescribed. And the results that they obtained were all the different subgroups met and achieved the standards in over a short period of time was absolutely phenomenal. And I just thought it was just a very innovative way to use summer school as a multiplier to improve student achievement. And I'd be curious to learn more over the next several months of how we actually engage in summer school and how we use it as a multiplier for student achievement. I had some small conversations with Ms. Flanar about that, and she gave me some really exciting information as it pertained to that, and I'm eager to learn more. The other thing that I noticed over the past several weeks as I was traveling up Route 1 is the Massaponax marquee that says activity fees or activity collection night is coming soon. And I'm really excited that this year that some of our parents will receive some relief because of the collective action of this board to reduce activity fees. And I know that that's something that we all are interested in seeing sunsetted to some point in the near future. I have had a chance to look at some articles from Michigan where it mentioned how activity fees were actually a deterrent for some students to be able to participate in after-school activities. Athletics, in my opinion, is the laboratory to what we teach in the classroom. Students get to demonstrate leadership. They have the opportunity to employ life lessons out on the ball field, and it's a very invaluable experience that all children should have the opportunity to participate in. So I commend this entire board for its collective actions and efforts to reduce activity fees. And finally, I want to make note as an announcement that on the 26th of September at Cortland High School, we are celebrating our 10th annual race against teen violence. A lot of you know already that my son died 10 years ago as a senseless act of teen violence. He was murdered. And every year at Cortland High School, and the school division has been very gracious in hosting that race, where we can get out the message to the community about this very important issue. but we also have had the opportunity to raise a lot of scholarship dollars for students in Spotsylvania County that benefited greatly in pursuing their higher educational goals. But the thing that I enjoy the most is the Friendly School Challenge. We award a $1,000 first prize for the high school, middle school, and elementary school that has the most runners participate in the race. $500 for each school at the high school, middle school, and elementary level for second place, and $250 for third place. And some of the schools have come up with some amazing uses for those dollars. Cortland High School, for example, bought new helmets about 4 or 5 years ago because they came in first place several times, and they used that money specifically for new helmets to protect their players. Spotsylvania Middle School built a rock wall and also got a scoreboard that they used. And there's a variety of other uses that were very commendable, and we're just excited and delighted that we have an opportunity to provide or give back so much to a community and a school division that's given us so much. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Braswell. Ms. Blaylock.
Thank you, Ms. Shelley. Just a couple of things. I want to, again, congratulate Alexis Willis, and that's a pretty big deal to be named the Freelance Star Athlete of the Year, and I happen to notice her principal is here supporting her. Her coaches from track were out there. They're all gone now, but thought that was neat to see the family of Alexis. A lot of people were out here to support her tonight, so big congratulations to her. We're very proud of you. I want to talk about sixth graders. If you have a rising sixth grader, please know that you must have the DTaP shot. If you need information on this, please go to the Divisions County website. On the main page, you'll see a link regarding this. I believe the health department will do it for free, and if you go to your personal pediatrician, please bring your paperwork in, but this is a shot that your child is not allowed to come to school without, the DTaP for a rising sixth grader. Also, a lot of questions about this in my community, just to make sure we get it out there. There are new bell times for elementary and middle school this year. Elementary will be 8:45 to 3:30. Middle will be 8 to 2:45, and high school will be 7:35 to 2:20. And note that high school isn't a change, but the other two are a change. And the last thing I wanted to talk about was a great event that went on Saturday called Stuff the Bus, where we collect a variety of donations for our McKinney-Vento students, which is our homeless population here in the county. And it just was a great success. So if you don't mind me sharing, I want to give you the results of how that went. Several of you in this room were there. Several of you volunteered, and I want to thank you all for doing that, because every one of you have touched a child in this community that is in the situation of homelessness right now. We had over $1,000 in cash donations. The reason cash donations is important, we have a lot of high school kids that want to participate in sports and band and need equipment or need a music instrument, and we're able to supply that. We had more supplies than we've ever had collected in the 3 years that this has went on. This was our third year to hold this event in the Walmart parking lot at South Point. And we had over 70 students volunteer, and I think that says a lot, that 70 of our students that are going to school every day in our schools came out and gave their time on Saturday. And a lot of you say, well, they get their community service hours, and they do for their diploma, but I happen to work next to a gentleman who had graduated this year, and he was getting nothing for it. And he was there when I got there, and he was there when I left. So there were a lot of these students that are either alumni. This one happened to be a Massaponax student that had graduated this past June. So I was very proud to see some of them out there on their own time. So thanks to the community. We say it all the time, you're the reason our homeless students have everything they need when they walk through the door. And every person in this county that has a child in one of our schools, whether it be the 17 elementaries or the 7 middle or the 5 high schools, your child goes to school with someone who is suffering from this, and you just don't know it. So thanks for giving back. It's a huge help. And I appreciate the speaker this evening. I agree with your thoughts on diversity. It only benefits our students to be enlightened by diversity in their life. So thank you for coming out and speaking to us. That's it. Thank you, Ms. Shelley.
Thank you, Ms. Blaylock. Dr. Meyer.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Also for the leadership exchange, I was able to participate in one day, and it has expanded every year, and I'm looking forward to the new revised expansion next year, next summer. Also want to say thanks to, I just lost my notes. As Mrs. Blaylock mentioned, the event this yesterday or Saturday, not yesterday, Saturday, was very well attended, and do thank everyone who participated. I know Mr. So, every time I've gone to that event, he's up in the truck, keeping track of everything. But do thanks, as Mrs. Blaylock said, for everyone who helped support this event. Also, I want to let everyone know that, we'll not be able to attend the next 2 meetings, as I will be in Brazil, but we'll be following through with video live streaming, and I'll be able to keep in touch. And so I'm going to miss the upcoming talk for Spotsy High. Will be their kickoff for their 75th anniversary, and so catch up with you later, Rusty. Catch you on the return. And for everyone else, wish everyone a very safe and very progressive, good year as we begin our new school year. Thank you.
Mr. Laura.
Dr. Myers, I'll be happy to deliver the check to Spotsy High, so just write it before you leave. Couple of comments, Madam Chair. Despite what the calendar said, the fact of the matter is that July and August are the shortest month of the year. And I know that because I've seen so many teachers and administrators, central staff, working during the summer. The 10 hours a day that they work during the summer, that's the same 10 hours that they work all year round, so it doesn't make any difference. But so congratulations to all of you who dedicate your life to making this a better world. The other comment I have is kind of personal, and I'm going to pause on this one because in my life, I've been an amateur fighter, I've been an Army paratrooper, and I spent a number of years as a police officer in the United States Marshal. And I say that to say that in my life, I've met a lot of tough people, a lot of tough guys and tough women. But one of the toughest people I ever met in my whole life is sitting to my left right here. And Mrs. Blaylock, good to see you. You have more courage than most people I know. And God bless you, and thanks for being such a good public servant.
Thank you, Mr. Laura. And then I just have a couple of things. I found something that I think was very interesting, because we have our calendar events, it's in our consent agenda. But the first day of school, September 8th, just happens to be International Literacy Day. So I thought how appropriate, so I wanted to share that. And then on August 25th, Mrs. Blaylock had was mentioned to me about a radio show at WVA News Talk 1230. So Ms. Blaylock, and I'm going to join Ms. Blaylock to talk on the radio show about back to school and getting students prepared and such. So I wanted to let the board know that we were doing that and let the audience, so they'll be listening in. It's from 8 to 9 on the 25th of August. And that's all I have. Dr. Baker.
Thank you, Ms. Shelley. I'd also like to thank the folks, Dr. Strike and all the folks that came out to represent the Leadership Learning Exchange. And one of the things that is hard to put into a slide presentation or to try to articulate is a sense that you can have when you attend an event like that of what kind of culture we currently have in Spotsylvania County as a school system, and the kind of culture that we continue to pursue. One that is, maybe an outdated word, interdependent. One that is about teamwork and collaboration. And the key part is that it is all about students, all about our students, those that we embrace as part of our mission, and that we want to reach each and every one of them. And so I was extremely proud to be a part of that event because of all of the individual and collective efforts that I witnessed. And I think that it's been well stated up here how, we didn't have a lot of requirements to be there. Other than principals are required to be at everything. Those that are out there can shake your heads. If they ask, do I need to come? That's really a dumb question at this point. But all of the folks, many of the folks that came out of a desire to enhance what they're doing for students right after I would say, in my years of education, one of the more stressful years in recent memory, given our continued height of expectations in terms of student performance, the many challenges that we face, with still funding that has not yet reached pre-recession levels. So I want to thank those folks, but I want to thank all the many people that participated and for, I think, an inspiring event that will continue, and it is still continuing to carry over. It was not an event, it was a continuation of what we're doing. Just a reminder to the school board, tomorrow there will be, we believe, an announcement from the Department of Education regarding standard of learning pass rates, and though that is not our entire focus as a school division, we are excited at the prospect of really I guess the eventuality that we are going to see significant improvement from the previous year. And that involves so many different folks, leadership, staff, and the school board for your support. And we believe that our results will be very close to what the state will be reporting for its results in terms of just the significant improvement across the board. I also wanted to very briefly touch on the school boards. You know, you often get credit or blame for individual actions or comments or decisions, and very rarely are you given credit for something that I think behind the scenes I am able to recognize and that I want to acknowledge before the audience tonight is your commitment to our strategic plan as a school division. Your willingness to work with the staff and to engage the community behind this idea that is maybe idealistic to some, but that we can, in a school division as large as ours, be a team at every single level. And I think the school board over this past year, in facing numerous types of challenges, fiscal challenges, and we know those are going to continue, but that your ability to develop consensus, not conformity, but consensus, and focus on the best interest of students, I want to recognize tonight, and thank you for that, and I look forward to that continuing. One last thing, I know that the Stuff the Bus was recognized by our board members tonight. A couple people that I have really continued to make that event better every single year and work together, and there's two folks I'm going to acknowledge. I may be leaving many out, but Renee Daniels and Michelle Swisher. Just going out there on a beautiful day and seeing the host of volunteers and how just the entire community was embracing this effort. But I know that a lot of work went behind the scenes, not only into helping to promote it, but in getting all the pieces together. So I want to thank them for doing that. I think that is a big part of the we that we're talking about, and also thank Walmart for our partnership there, and that they have supported us over the last few years. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Baker. Okay, moving on to 6.01, Board Committee Reports. Does anyone have anything to report this evening? Okay, seeing none, I'm going to move on to the consent agenda items. Dr. Martin, could you fill us in, please?
Madam Chair, we have 4 items on the consent agenda. We have the minutes of the July 13th, 2015 regular meeting, donations which are usual and customary, approval of bus service on private roads, and the 2015-16 calendar of events. Staff asked that the consent agenda be approved as presented.
So moved, Madam Chair.
I have a motion by Dr. Meyer, second by Mr. Blaine. All those in favor of the consent agenda as printed, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? 7-0. Thank you. Okay, moving on to action item 8.01, first reading approval of revisions of JN. Ms. Colbert. Oh, nope, sorry. I was looking at the wrong name. Ms. Gaines.
Good evening, Madam Chair, school board members, Dr. Baker, and Dr. Martin. Thank you for the opportunity to share some proposed revisions to student fees. Tonight's presentation does come to you in 2 documents. Let's start off with JN. In looking at JN, you basically see some changes coming from VSBA. Wherever you see the words pupil, they're recommending that we change it to student. And because this is a policy change, I'll be back before you on August 24th. The next document speaks to JNR. This is a regulation, and this only requires 1 reading. As indicated by Mr. Braswell, we have our athletic collection nights coming soon. So at the middle school level, the athletic fee, as approved by the board, as a part of the 16 budget, is going from $100 to $75. This fee is non-refundable and non-transferable. This is consistent with the practice that we've had for the last 3 years. It keeps the books clean and easy to manage. If you look at the next page, page 2, at the high school level, again, the athletic fee going from $100 to $75. The fee is non-refundable and non-transferable. Also, when you look at student parking permit fees, as you know, the current fee for a full school year is $80. Half a year, it is $40. Anytime during the 3rd marking period, which starts late January, and then $20, which is new. This basically starts the 9 weeks of the last school year. So anytime during the 4th marking period, which normally starts sometime in April. When you look at the next session, AP and dual enrollment classes, AP exam fee. As you are aware, this fee is paid by the student. In looking at dual enrollment, the student is responsible for the fee. Here we chose to use general language because depending upon the budget dynamics, this could change during any given year. But right now, for dual enrollment, the students do pay 20% per credit per hour, and they pay $8.50 per credit per hour for the entire technology fee. So at this time, staff is requesting approval to the changes as presented.
May I have a motion, please?
So moved, Madam Chair.
Dr. Meyer? Second was that? Mr. Braswell, second. Do we have any questions or comments? Okay, then I'm going to go for the vote. All those in favor of the first reading approval of JN, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed? 7-0. Thank you. And then you're still up here?
Yes.
Continue, please.
Budget amendment number 4, I'm going to ask Ms. Richardson if she would join me. What we want to do at this time is to present to you the approval of converting hourly positions to full-time teaching positions. By starting the presentation tonight, we want you to know it is budget neutral. It's budget neutral for a couple reasons. Number 1, in the FY15 budget, Mrs. Richardson had 12 hourly teachers, 79 hourly paras. The total cost was 1.4. When you look at what we're proposing to do, is to convert it to 15 FTE teaching positions and 21 hourly paras. The cost of that will be 1.4, so that makes it budget neutral. Point number 2, because this particular change is within the same instructional category, it does not require approval from the Board of Supervisors. When you look at the request, it is based on caseloads. It's based on trend data for transfers. It is based on data on eligibility and referral dates and standardized testing performance of students with disabilities. If you just take a look at the special ed budget, if you approve the 15 teaching positions tonight, that will bring the total special ed FTE count up to 509.5. Again, this request is budget neutral. So staff is requesting approval as presented.
So move. Okay, well, I think Melissa Blaylock got the motion, so Mr. Blaine, I will give you the second. And do we have any comments or questions? Mr. Braswell.
Ms. Richardson, I understand that it's budget neutral. What I'd like for you to do is articulate why this change puts us in a better position as opposed to the way it was done previously.
Sure, thank you for that. At this point, looking at our SPED numbers, first of all, we're growing as a school division with our student with disabilities. We need more skilled and highly trained teachers to provide instruction within the classroom. This group of professionals will also be able to intervene at the elementary level because you'll note the bulk of those positions are going to our elementary schools. We know that our overall goal, even from pre-K, we get them as young as 2, is to make sure that they graduate to be productive citizens. Overall, we're looking to increase literacy, writing skills, and math skills, and that requires teachers. But please don't misinterpret me to understand that we don't appreciate the roles that our paraeducators play.
And so by having them as full-time equivalents, that's going to allow us the opportunity to attract more qualified.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Salaries and benefits.
I didn't have a comment until Mr. Braswell spoke, but just listening to it just makes me want to make a point. I don't have a question, is that when I saw this, I don't ever question Ms. Richardson and her department, but it really shows that not only is this needed to produce better for our children and our students, it's that you're on top of it and making this adjustment. This is what feels good to me, is that we're always one step ahead in this department. Just a fabulous job with you and on all of your staff. Thank you.
I just have one comment. I'd like to compliment you on the presentation that you made written for us in the Current. It was well put together. Appreciate that.
Thank
you.
Ms. Richardson, I don't have a question for you, but every time I get the opportunity to see you, I always want to say thank you for all you do for humanity.
It's my pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So with that, I will take a vote. All those in favor of budget amendment number 4, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed? 7-0. Thank you very much. Okay, on to item 8.03, first reading approval of revisions of GCBDA sick leave. Ms. Colbert.
Good evening, Madam Chair, to the members of the board, to Dr. Baker. In FY 2014, the school board implemented a short-term and long-term disability benefit for hybrid employees and legacy employees of the division. The Virginia retirement system requires that snow days count as work days for the purpose of short-term and long-term benefits. Therefore, the division's sick leave policy, GCBDA, has been revised with the clarifying language so that both policies align. Staff is requesting that the school board approve the first reading of the proposed revision to school board policy GCBDA, sick leave as presented.
Thank you. Do I have a motion for Mr. Laura? And a second?
I will second that.
Mr. Blaine? Any questions or comments? No? Okay. Call for the vote. All those in favor of first reading approval of GCBDA, say aye, please.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? 7-0. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Item 8.04, second reading approval of school board policy JECB, LB, LBD, and LBDR. I said it today. Thank you.
It's so much better. Thank you. Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the board, Dr. Baker and Dr. Martin. In an attempt to service the needs of all children within our county, administration is bringing forth the recommended changes to the policies that you mentioned provided to you. In short, these changes will allow a private or non-public homeschool student to access up to a maximum of 2 credit-bearing courses per academic year should they meet the qualifications of the criteria outlined in the attached policies. Recommended edits have been reviewed and approved through legal counsel, and it is the administration's recommendation that the school board approves the second reading changes to policy JECB, LB, LBD, LBDR, and the LBDR form.
Nice job.
Without looking.
You did. May I have a motion, please?
So moved, Madam Chair.
Okay, Dr. Meyer and Mrs. Blaylock, do we have any questions or comments?
Madam Chair,
Yes, sir.
since this is a crucial vote, I'd like for a roll call vote. I'd like to ask for request a roll call vote, please.
Thank you, Mr. Laura. Any objections? Okay, Mr. Laura, please, I'm going to start on your end.
Laura, aye.
Meyer, aye.
Blaylock, aye.
Shelley, aye.
Braswell, aye.
Before I vote, you caught me off guard there. I think this is a wonderful opportunity for us to sell to the community what we're concentrating on every day of the week. And I think that we're going to come out far ahead and benefit greatly. So I vote yes.
Thank you.
Gramp, aye.
7-0. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, on to item 8.05, approval of nomination of board member to seek the chair. It is not coming up. I'm having trouble with my computer, but I'm going to Dr. Meyer was at our last meeting, we had approved Dr. Meyer to run for the at-large seat for the VSBA. But that did not work out as planned because there were some, thank you. So, that's all right. I'm going to wing it. I'm going to wing it. So what we're asking is Dr. Meyer would like to seek the nomination of either the Northeastern Region Chair or the Northeastern Vice Chair seat on the Board of Directors, and then to just said depending on which one that he gets is depending on where the availability is. So all we need approval is just mainly for him to be able to put the application in. We just need approval for him to be able to run. It's not a nomination, no.
It has my full approval. They would be lucky to have Dr. Meyer.
Okay, so I'm going to say a motion and a vote that we we approve Dr. Meyer to. Well, we do need a motion. I'm sorry. You said nomination, yes.
Okay, I was asked if we need a motion. Yes, I will make that motion that we
Okay.
approve.
Okay.
I'll second.
So Blaylock and Braswell, all those in favor of approving Dr. Meyer to run for regional or Northeastern Regional Chair or Vice Chair? Say aye, please. Aye. All those opposed? 7-0.
Thank you all.
Thank you for stepping up to plate, Dr. Meyer. Okay, moving on to informational items. Anything just usual and customary? Okay, moving on to item 10.01, any unfinished business? Any items 10.02, any new business? Okay, Ms. Blaylock.
I have something, and I certainly didn't mean to put anyone on the spot, but it came to me tonight as we're thinking about the new year. Not that I need answers now, but Dr. Baker, could you have someone just update us on the parent view? We were going to try to add to where it showed SOL scores and some new things. And since we have about a month before we start, could we maybe get some feedback if we had some, I don't know if upgrade's the right word, but some additions to it that would give more information to parents?
Yes.
That's all I need. Thank you so much.
Okay. Then moving on to 11.01 and 11.02. August 10th, 2015, resolved that the school board conduct a closed meeting for the following purposes: consideration of candidates for employment, assignment, promotion, demotion, and discipline of employees or resignation of employees who have a contractual commitment to the board as permitted by 2.23711 A1 of the Code of Virginia, and consultation with legal counsel on a matter involving actual or probable litigation where such consultation or briefing in open meeting would adversely affect the negotiating or litigating posture of the public body as permitted by Section 2.2, 3711A7 of the Code of Virginia. May I have a motion to go into closed session, please? Mr. Blaine?
Second?
And a second by Dr. Meyer. All those in favor of going into closed session? Aye. All those opposed? We are in closed session, 7-0. Mr. Braswell got the second.
Okay.
All those in favor of returning to open session, say aye, please.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? 7-0. Whereas the Spotsylvania County School Board has convened a closed meeting on this date pursuant to an affirmative recorded vote and in accordance with the provision of the Virginia Freedom of Information Act, and whereas Section 2.23711 of the Code of Virginia requires a certification by this school board that such a closed meeting was conducted in conformity with Virginia law. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Spotsylvania County School Board hereby certify that to the best of each member's knowledge, only public business matters lawfully exempted from open meeting requirements under this chapter, and only such public business matters as were identified in the motion by which the closed meeting was convened were heard, discussed, or considered in the meeting. May I have a motion, please? Mr. Laura, and a second by Ms. Gramp. And I need a roll call vote. I'll start with Ms. Gramp, please.
Gramp, aye.
Blaine, aye.
Braswell, aye.
Shelley, aye.
Blaylock, aye.
Meyer, aye.
7-0. Dr. Martin, would you please read the items from the closed meeting?
Motion is that the school board accepts the recommendation of the superintendent for personnel appointments, assignments, transfers, and resignations as presented in closed meeting and permitted by Section 2.2-3711A1 of the Code of Virginia.
So moved.
Dr. Meyer? Second by Mr. Laura. All those in favor as the items from closed meeting, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? 7-0.
Move to adjourn.
Mr. Laura, motion to adjourn. Ms. Gramp, a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Meeting adjourned. Thank you. 9:25.